Hi, viewers, welcome again to Dr. Navakrishna's YouTube channel. This is my third and last video on the topic COVID-19 and the medicine of 21st century. In my previous two videos, I have shared about the origin and the types of coronaviruses, as well as its mode of transmission, clinical signs and symptoms, diagnostic procedures, and ultimately the limitation in the part of treatment in the hand of so-called modern medical system. Already after crossing about 5 months from December 2019, still there is no any standard protocol of treatment against this SARS-CoV-2 viral disease with this system, and the people are infected more and more with increasing mortality rate worldwide. The only measure taken by various governments around the world is only lockdown. So here in this video I am going to share with you, and at the same time I like to send a message to the concerned people working in various fields against this disease about the ultimate cause of death from COVID-19. I am going to share with you about the ultimate cause of death from COVID-19. Also, I will try to focus on a new thought which may help in inventing a solution in the part of treatment against any microorganism, not only for present time but in the future too. So let's begin my video as a continuation of my second video. Now, if we think in an alternate way, there might be one solution to fight against this viral or even any other acute microbial attack, and this is nothing but the concept of universal immunization. But what does this universal immunization mean? Here, actually, by universal, I want to mean that the human should be so prepared with its immunity that it can combat against any type of virus, whether it might be Nipah, Zika, H1N1, or any other else. Now the question is whether it is possible to make such a universal vaccine. Before discussing on this critical concept, let's have a look at the report of COVID-19 disease from worldwide. Reports from various national and international agencies showed that the people are getting infected with this disease very fast compared to other flu viruses. But the death rate is interestingly very low, which is 3 to 9%. It means, in spite of getting infected with SARS-CoV-2, all people are not dying. Only 3 to 9% out of hundreds of the infected people usually dies. Again, reports also confirm that among these 3 to 9% deaths, majority are due to some other diseases like diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, or due to their illness. From this data, we can come to a conclusion that it is actually not the virus which is responsible for the death of an infected person, but there must be some other interference factor in the part of the individual patient in his health economy which favors the morbidity of the virus, or there may be some external factors which is working as a maintaining cause for disease and responsible for the mortality of the patient infected with SARS-CoV-2. Also, if we monitor the origin and the places in which maximum number of infections and deaths from this COVID-19 are reported, then it seems that these places are rich in textile industries. One investigation throughout the data available on internet, it is found that 99% of these places of the world are rich in textile industries. It is very important, textile industries. Even in India, the states with textile industries, which were Gujarat, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, etc., are mostly affected with maximum mortality rate from COVID-19 disease. The boilers, thermopacks, and diesel generators of these textile industries produce pollutants that are released into the air. Then factory boilers that heat the water releases nitrous oxide and sulfur dioxide. Also, carbon monoxide is released from factory sizzling operations. Similarly, bleaching operations release chlorine dioxide, and fabric printings release hydrocarbons and ammonia. fabric finishing operations can release formaldehyde into the air. Then, without EPA safeguard, these toxic vapors would remain suspended in the air and then carried by the wind to pollute other areas. The airways and mainly the lung tissues become more vulnerable or susceptible to any viral disease, whether it is SARS-CoV-2 or any other else. In an interview with The Hindu, a medical community named Doctors for Clean Air stated that long-term exposure to high levels of air pollution compromises an individual's lung functions, making that person more susceptible to viral infections. Due to the lungs' reduced capacity, such individuals are definitely become more vulnerable to face greater health complications, particularly related to coronavirus as compared to their healthier counterparts. Detailed discussion about these clinical and pathological changes caused by these polluted airs in respiratory organs are out of coverage of this topic. So I skip this, but I will have to remember one thing, that in the body of those people residing at that particular areas, when the corona or such type of virus makes the entry in such a person, then very easily it multiplies by replicating with those susceptible host cells. In such a case, body immunity of the patient cannot control these outbursts of virus with its immunity, and ultimately the victim dies. This might be the reason for which there is a very smaller number of cases of local origin or death from COVID-19 is almost nil in the northeastern states as well as Jharkhand, Sikkim, etc. of India. The detected COVID-19 cases in textile industry-free areas, mind it, textile industry-free areas around the world are mostly reported to be recovered. It means corona or any other viral attack is not the important point. Important is what? The important is the host constitution or health economy. So research should be done not only in inventing a vaccine or antiviral medicine against individual viruses, but at the same time, we should emphasize in reducing the presence of these causative or maintaining environmental hazards, as well as care should be taken in boosting the immunity of the individuals against any type of microbes that comes in contact with us. So to combat to it, these problems, we have three options to deal with. Number one is reduce environmental pollution. The number two, enhancing the total immunity of the mass people. And number three, inventing antimicrobial medicines or vaccine against microorganisms, whether it is bacteria or viruses. Now, if we try to implement these options, then option number 1 and 2 will be somewhat easy to deal with, because for option number 1, the industries should be so upgraded that there should be a negligible amount of pollution effect. It can be done by recycling the wastes, by inventing new technologies. And for option number 2, we should boost our immunity, which is very, very important, by following various natural activities and by following the natural rules. We should take pure air, water, and unadulterated natural foods. At the same time, we should avoid artificial and so-called modern dishes. Regular yoga and hygiene should be maintained. All types of addiction should be banned. Also, the mental health of the people should be upgraded by various constructive social, economical, religious, and governmental activities. Now for option number 3, which is most crucial. It has been already clear that it is not so easy to prepare medicines or vaccines for each and every virus or bacteria or any other microbes in the universe due to its infinite numbers and shortage of time in hand for inventing a medicines or vaccine against those during a totally new and acute conditions like the recent COVID-19 attack. In such a situation, we need some alternative way to fight against all these microorganisms. We need a definite principle which is universally true and can be applicable against any microbial attack, regardless whether it is a virus, bacteria, or anything else. It means the plan of treatment should not be by the name or type of the microorganism, but by a new consideration of the situation as an attack of external morbid force. To work on this new principle, first we have to refine our concept of clinical signs and symptoms of a disease or sick. To understand this, let us discuss the situation when a person gets exposed to some disease force or external morbid force. In this condition, there may be three possibilities. Number one is the person may not show any signs and symptoms of suffering because it is found that even after taking same contaminated food or air, some people become ill, but some others do not show a single symptom. Number two, the person may show signs and symptoms of suffering for a period of time and then gradually declining those with time and recover to his previous state of health. This is number three, the person may show signs and symptoms of suffering which will gradually worsen and ultimately leads to death. This is number three. Now the question is, why for the same morbid force, different persons shows different results? As the answer of this question, we can say it will depend upon two factors. Number one, the person's body defense or immunity, which can be considered as internal factor, and number two, the quantity or strength of external morbid force with which it attacks the person. Actually, every living organism all the time fights against these external morbid forces with its defense mechanism or immunity and save our living body or tissues by defeating them, because here external force is weaker than the defensive force, or it may make an equilibrium with them when both the defensive and external forces are of equal strength. In such a conditions, there is no any sign and symptoms of suffering felt by the individual or observed by others. Now, if you by any means the existing defense force starts declining due to otherwise accidents, pollution, radiations, addictions, etc., or if the strength or intensity of the external force is very strong than the person's defensive force, then the defensive force cannot easily throw out the morbid force out or cannot make an equilibrium with it. In this very condition, symptoms are produced. These symptoms are actually not the disease, but the various gears of defense of the immunity by implementing which it tries to invade the external morbid force. Some easily noticeable such defensive measures are some symptoms, which were the fever, vomiting, diarrhea, thirst, sweating, expectoration, cough, consolidation of the tissues, rise in WBC, etc., etc. Now, depending upon the site of attack of the external force or the site of damage of the living organism and the phases of defense or defensive force in action, symptoms and signs are different. During this mechanism of the production of symptoms, immunity focuses or concentrates its defense force in a particular direction or point. During this time, our body has to lose extra energy than the usual time. Also, stored energy from ATP is converted to ADP. Now, the homeostasis among the cells, tissues, and organs starts to break. In such a situation, due to this well-programmed and special act of defense, if the morbid force becomes weaker and its external favorable factors are reduced or lost, Then gradually the symptom starts declining and recovery starts, which leads to cure. But if the morbid force starts increasing its force due to the existence of some favorable factors for it, then our defense force fails to defeat the morbid force. In such a situation, the next gear of defense is triggered up by the living body, as a result of which new symptoms appear and previous symptoms start to sense. If still the morbid force remains stronger enough than the defensive force, then ultimately it leads the person or leads the patient to death. From this discussion, it is clear that for converting a sick individual in condition number 3 to condition number 1, which is nothing but a healthy state, we have to make the defensive force stronger than the external morbid force. But how to do this? This is the million-dollar question, and searching for the answer of this question will make a revolutionary sense in the entire field of medical science. Such type of alternative thoughts and research might be very, very essential for the survival of human race in the universe for the future. Thank you very much.